Hello, you four and nobody else. Welcome to LFC Transfer Room. We're a little bit late, but we're hoping that we'll get some people join us very soon. We're almost coming back to action. It feels like it's not very far away now. Liverpool are back in action. They're doing a bit of pre-season in Dubai. There's a really funny pic of the Ox and Robbo in full get-up, and Robbo's already burnt. He's bright red. But we're back doing streams because the transfer window's not far away as well. So we need to start getting our groove on. Drew, you've got yourself some coffee. Are you ready to talk about transfers? Are you ready to talk about these types of things?
I mean, I guess I'm ready from a presenter point of view, but as a fan, I really don't like looking at transfers too much until the transfer window's open, because I'm kind of the kind of person who wakes up on Christmas Day and ready to open their presents then. I'm not thinking about it the week before, just waiting for my presents, because I don't want to be disappointed. But I'm optimistic that Liverpool are gonna have at least one or two presents for us come January, and let's hope that's the case.
Oh, Matty, I'm looking at the signed Verge behind you, and that was the biggest Christmas present of all, wasn't it? You were hoping for another by the Christmas tree signing or January time.
I'd love a Jude replicating Virgil. That'd be perfect. I do think Jude will be announced in January, to be honest. Because I do think FSG will probably buy Jude and no one else, and say this is why we didn't buy anyone in January. You're getting Jude Bellingham in the summer. It's just a typical FSG move, isn't it? So it wouldn't surprise me. I do think Jude's done. So all these other rumours of new other midfielders has got me excited. It's like, if Jude's done and we're still prepared to pay this, and this, are we getting a full midfield overhaul? Yeah.
No, love, I've not been on stream here for ages, mate. Are you ready? Are you building up to the transfer window? Is that excitement starting to pump?
Yeah, I think it is, because it's inevitable that we have to sign someone. And whether it do be Jude after the World Cup he's had, or even whether it's Amrabat or the Fernandez from Argentina, like all the names are said to be very good, and they've all had good World Cups, but they're totally different to the names that we were talking about before the World Cup, which is quite interesting. But yeah, I mean, looking forward to it. Hopefully we can get one of them done at least.
Now, Drew, I'll start with you. Obviously, there's three main names in the fold, isn't there? There's Jude, there's Enzo, and there's Amrabat. I can't. I've lost it.
Sophie.
Amrabat. Jesus Christ. Put them in an order for me. If you were to sign them, who would be your number one target? Who would be your number two? Who would be your number three? Because I saw today an article that said, Liverpool may go for a Amrabat. Jesus Christ. Instead of, as a safety precaution, instead of Jude and Enzo, which I'm not 100% comfortable with as a solution, but is he I haven't watched the World Cup. Is he as good as everyone's making out?
No, Morocco made it to the semifinals, and I think he was a huge part of that. They took out some big names in the process, but I don't think that puts him above Jude and Enzo. I'd even say, Enzo's had a breakout year, which is, phenomenal. I think Jude, I had questions about his hype, not saying he's not worth buying, but 100 mil plus kind of levels. That's what we're talking about for Jude and Enzo. So I think Jude is worth at least 100 for sure. He's proved that this World Cup, let alone in his time at Dortmund. It seems like he doesn't, for me, it's like handling the pressure. He seems to have passed every test thrown at him, and he's top of the list out of those three. I think Enzo is very exciting, has a huge potential, and has already shown skills that make you excited for his age and what he's doing right now. Sophia and Amrabat, I think we've talked about him in the chat. He seems like he'd be a backup option or a squad player to start out with. And at 26, I think the levels of where Tottenham are wanting to spend £50 million on him, if we're forced to compete with that, and potentially sign him over, Enzo or Jude, that doesn't make any sense to me. If we're looking for a potentially squad player, I think you just get Conrad Lamer on a free or a cheap deal in January and call that your backup and, go all in for Jude and Enzo, which seems like that might be a possibility. My mouth to God's ears.
Now, Matty, it seems like it's Liverpool and Real Madrid going for Jude and Enzo, doesn't it? Against us. So it seems like there's one each.
Yeah, definitely.
One of them's going to get one, one's going to get the other.
I think so, yeah. Unless Liverpool pull off a madness and get both, which would be very nice because that sorts our midfield for the next 10 years or so. But I do think we'll get Jude. I think with his dad and his mum pushing for Liverpool, they've been to visit the AXA, I think last season, if I'm not mistaken. His dad strikes me as someone who's more about football and someone on the quality of Jude Bellingham. He can get that money at some time in his career. He is still only 19, isn't he? Or 20. Yeah. So he's going to get that money at some point. If he comes to Liverpool, he's going to be on like 150 to 180 grand, I'd say. That's like what Trent and that's on. He's going to be in that bracket. And then should he be the midfield powerhouse that we believe he will be, then his next contract, he's going to be getting like 220, 230, and eventually he's going to get the money that he wants. And if we get new owners in, money's not going to be an issue in terms of giving him these big deals. So he does strike me as someone who knows he'll get that money. He's still very young, and let's be serious, to earn that sort of money at 19 anyway, he's very lucky. And I think he strikes me as someone who goes to clubs based on history. Like he went to Dortmund and he could have went to teams in the Prem, could have went to other teams around the world and chose Dortmund based on the history and stuff. And I think that's why you'd choose Liverpool. And obviously his dad's a huge Beatles fan, because you don't just call your kid Jude if you're not a huge Beatles fan for no reason, do you?
Gary, Helio, great to have you in the chat. Now, Arnov, you've been watching a bit of the World Cup, and obviously Matt is going to be very much Team Jude because he has been for
forever
since Jude kicked to football. But Enzo's been playing a really interesting role for Argentina. He's been playing quite deep, hasn't he? He's not naturally quite an attacking midfielder. He's really showed that level of versatility, discipline, and all-round midfielder that Liverpool need, the energy. Could he be, let's just take off the British, Jude Bellingham, this is wonderful. Could Enzo actually be a better solution for us?
That's an interesting question. I think, sticking with Jude, I think that is the best option after watching him just play so well. I thought he had an amazing tournament and he's probably bumped up his stock by a lot. But Enzo has been a brilliant player. He's played really well and he's established himself into the Argentina squad with McAllister really well. And I also think McAllister's he's had an amazing World Cup as well. And I'm shocked a lot of people aren't really talking about him. But I think as long as we get Jude Bellingham done, I think that one's the most important. But I think he would be the number one, and then Enzo and Amrabat being the next two. And I think Lima has gone to Bayern Munich, if I'm not mistaken, as well.
Helio's put that in chat.
Yeah, so
you don't miss.
That might be an issue there, and they always seem to get deals done for free or cheap, or next to nothing anyway. So I think it is just Jude, and hoping that we can get him.
Now I'm gonna let's just do a quick confidence level out of 100. Liverpool to sign Jude Bellingham. Put your confidence level out of 100 in chat, with 0 being no chance and 100 being it's a done deal. It's all signed, sealed, delivered. I'm coming to you last, Matty, on this one because I already know you're going to be in the high 90s. Drew, out of 100, hand on heart, chances of getting Jude. We're against Real Madrid. We're against mega contracts. Do you think he's coming?
I'd say 85 for me. I think all of the swirl around it, Matty said with his parents, like stuff like that, I think counts huge, especially at 19 years old. You see how Henderson and Trent have taken him under his wing at the World Cup, all these cheeky hints from them or these in jokes, I know there's been in our WhatsApp group texting about certain journalists giving little winks or thumbs up kind of things at certain photos. And it just seems like there's something in the works. I don't know if it'll come in January, but maybe we get a deal announced in January, similar to like the Naby Keita thing. But 85% for me.
So Gary's at 100,000%. Drew's at 85%. Arnov, where are you sitting?
Yeah, no, I'm very confident we'll get him, like 90%. Hopefully, we can get him. But yeah, I mean, seeing him, Henderson, and Trent getting on so well, I think that was just a telltale sign as well. And that little interview of when the journalist asked him, and he was like, "Oh, you're just ruining it." I think that is a telltale sign. Hopefully, and as long as Hendo can persuade him to come, and yeah, I think I'm pretty confident that we'll get him. Hopefully.
Okay. I mean, I've been hurt before with this club, so they've hurt me so many times. I'm genuinely 50-50. I think there's a club that we can come up against, which is Real Madrid, and I think a player can make a 50-50 chance. Someone like Camavinga was all in Real Madrid straight away. Tuchmane, sorry. So let us know what you think it is in the chat. If you are new here, please like and subscribe to the channel. Before you hear Matty, out of 100 chances of getting Jude. Hand on heart, gun to head. Mini Virgil, gun to mini Virgil in his little crate. If you don't know, Matty's dog, French bulldog called Virgil, loves him more than anything.
Jude Bellingham, 100% for me. I think
100%.
There's been too many journalists, though, like Henry Winter, him saying he believes Jude Bellingham comes to Liverpool. That's massive. Someone like Henry Winter doesn't put that on the line like that. He's too much of a credible journalist. Fabrizio Romano spoke about Jude Bellingham coming to Liverpool as well. Again, very reliable. It just seems like too many people are talking about Bellingham coming to Liverpool. Too many reliable journalists. His dad's like obviously being the actor. His mum and dad want him to choose a footballing project. He's going to have Jurgen Klopp down as he is saying about making the midfield around him for the next 5 or 10 years. There's too much of a selling point, and the argument Liverpool have got is I sense that this will be like Van Dijk and Alisson, where we needed them to go and win everything. I feel like we need Jude Bellingham, and the club know that. We need someone of his quality, and he's someone who's going to come in. He's world class already at 19. He's generational. We got 10 years minimum out of him. It's 9 years before he even hits his peak in football, and he's performing like this now. He's a freak, and I think no matter. I think with FSG, people saying, "Oh, they might not spend if they're selling." You buy Jude Bellingham for 130 million. You're putting 130 million on your asking price on top of what they're already asking for, and more so probably because Bellingham's giving you that 10 years of world class service. Your midfield sorted. It's like someone buying Steven Gerrard when he was breaking through. That's how good Jude Bellingham is. Not saying they're the same player, but I mean in terms of world status, Gerrard was world class when he broke through, and it's the same with Bellingham. And I think the club know that, Klopp knows that, and we didn't buy anyone last summer because we were waiting for Jude. We got hounded for it, but if you remember, we'd done that for Van Dijk. And when we got Van Dijk, the lead up until he got announced by the Christmas tree, everyone on social media was saying he was going to City. There was no chance we were getting him. How would we compete with City's wages? How would we compete with City, this and that? Van Dijk chose the footballing project and won everything there is to offer in football, while little old Man City still haven't won a Champions League.
Old, I mean, you're making them sound like they got history.
Yeah, they haven't. Like.
Helior says here, Bellingham is like a carrot on a stick in front of the mule. It gives people hope every time he walks. And he makes a really good point. Adam's put it, we're connected to everyone. It's really easy to throw our name to someone at the moment because we are in the hunt for a midfielder. I think 99% of the names that we're connected to we're not interested in, Drew. But what do you look for in a room? We've got 3 players that we're really strong connected with. Another one today has been Cody Gakpo, who's been heavily linked to United. He's been linked with Liverpool today. I think especially with Diaz being out for a while and Jota being a bit injured, getting a front 3 that's a scorer it's a sensible link, isn't it? But it's not one of our 5-star sources that's connected it. So what are you looking for in this?
For Bellingham?
Just in a rumour, that makes you think, do you know what, this might happen?
We'll look for a need in our squad, how long it's been there. Like I think with Virgil and Alisson, everyone knew we were crying out for a center back, like a top quality center back. It was kind of in the mill, Van Dijk. We obviously had the slip up where we're trying to get him in the summer, but eventually got it over the line. Allison sort of happened really fast, but we knew we needed a new goalkeeper. Karius was supposed to be that goalkeeper. When he dropped the ball in Champions League, no pun intended, it was quite clear that we needed that to be quickly addressed. And then it all came like normally, like Fabinho, Liverpool tend to have this, it comes out of nowhere and you're like, another one's Jota, where it just comes out of nowhere. But I think for the ones like Van Dijk, there's sort of a build up and then everyone's talking about it. I think as we've mentioned before, Arnav and Matty talking about the journalist, all these reputable journalists saying the same thing in Arnav, but the videos that you see, pictures on social media, it's like, yeah, that can be a lot of hot gas. And I definitely don't say like, as I said when we started the stream, I'm not one who looks into rumors too much, but it seems like it's gone. Yeah. Seems like it's gone beyond that though. And we do need this position to be filled. Everyone's saying it's Jude. We're seeing stuff from the player and around the media that seems like it. So it seems like all signs are pointing there. But I expect a move to be made for someone in the midfield. Hopefully it's Jude.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, Dortmund have made it through Champions League, haven't they, to the knockouts? However, they are financially in not the best of situations. COVID's hit them particularly badly. There's a few things going on at Dortmund where they are needing some liquid cash. So there is a potential that this could be done in January, Arnov. But if you were Dortmund, do you sell now just after World Cup where he's at his absolute peak price in January is a crazy market? Or do you wait until summer and go, do you know what, we're still going to get the same money in summer and we'll see what we can do in the Champions League with him? What's the most sensible business decision on this? Because there's part of me that thinks sell him in January because he's now at his absolute peak of price because World Cup inflation.
I seen that, and obviously talking about like credibility and stuff like that, that he does want to actually leave in January, especially after the World Cup he's had, but also even the season he's had. And I don't think Dortmund are doing like particularly great as well. Quite far, not far behind Bayern, but like Bayern are a few points ahead at least anyway. And I think he did want to say that he wanted to leave or something like that. But yeah, I mean, I if I was Dortmund, I don't think I'd sell him in January. I think I would wait till the summer. But to be fair, because of the World Cup he's had and like the recency factor in that, I think if they can get another 15, 20 million, I reckon they would sell him a bit more. But I mean, like we're talking about just then, you asked the question of credibility and rumors and stuff. Like I mentioned earlier, I think the players before the World Cup, we weren't talking about any of them. Enzo Fernandez or a Sofian Amrabat, most definitely not. So it's just interesting to see how the rumor mill just continues to keep expanding. Like we're talking about Tielemans and Bellingham before, like Conrad Laimer, who's left now and gone to Bayern. It's just interesting to see, but I think even the Fernandez deals, I've not seen much about that, but I thought that the Amrabat one and the Bellingham one were quite nailed on, with a lot of people talking about it. And Fernandez, like Argentine midfielder, he's probably gonna pick Real Madrid if they ever came for him. So it'd be one of them. If Dortmund were saying if they can get them more money, they'd sell him in January, but it's one of them.
Yeah. Now, Matty, Dortmund are currently sixth on 25 points. It's only 2 points outside the top four, so they're not outside top. They're not adrift, but they're 9 points behind Bayern. So there's probably way off the title race, but can quite comfortably get top four. They got 120 million pounds put on the table. Bang! There you go. You can invest 60 million straight away. Get the squad. Get the Champions League going. Jude's gone. Makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, because they probably know who's replacing Jude. They've probably had Jude replacement since the day Jude signed. They've got their succession plan always. And if they haven't, they can have Naby Keita if they want till the end of the year on loan. If it meant we got Bellingham, easy. And to be fair, Keita, if they're going off as Bundesliga form, he was amongst the best midfielders in the world when we bought him. The hype around him was a joke. Gerrard went and gave him the number 8 in person. Like he was a joke. So I think if they were struggling, you could include him in some form of deal. But Dortmund have probably already got the replacements, and they could just go and spend maybe a bit more to get him in January. Don't think they'd keep him for anything like the Champions League or anything, because they know they've got no chance of winning that. They're realistic, and they know they've got no chance of winning the league. So if they were to wait until the end of the year and say Bellingham has a bad 6 months, his price goes down. Where he's just come off the back of a phenomenal World Cup where he was the main man in midfield for England, and now you could get probably 10-20 million more for him. For Dortmund, it probably makes more sense. But I think that they might sell him, but keep him till the end of the year, which makes no sense for Liverpool, considering that we need him now. But I do think I wouldn't be disappointed if Liverpool said, like, we've bought him, but you're not getting him until next season, because at least then I asked a few days ago in the group chat, like, would you just take no silverware this year if it meant we got like Jude Bellingham and Enzo Fernandez? And the majority of people said yeah, because you're going to win everything for the next few years. Like, I'd take a season of crap. I've had nearly 28 years of crap, to be honest with you, apart from since Klopp's been here. So I'd take another year of crap as long as we get top four, if it meant we go and buy all these players and start a new project next year.
Heliot, yes, we are streaming tomorrow. I believe Lou is on tomorrow. And Matty, you make really good point. And one of the things that strikes me with these midfielders that we're talking about is when we signed Alisson, he was 28, 26.
Yeah.
When we signed Van Dijk, he was 28. So we can only finance these deals over 4 or 5 years. So for anyone that doesn't understand, when you sign a player, you take their contract and you divide their transfer fee over their initial contract so that you recognise an amount of money every year. So if you put Jude, say, on a 10-year contract, not that you put 10 years, but you could do 10 million a year for the next 10 years. You could sign Enzo on a 10-year contract and do 10 million a year over the next 10 years. That suddenly doesn't sound expensive, does it, in your net spend?
No.
Whereas, obviously, with Van Dijk and Alisson, you can't do that same duration. You probably could with Alisson, to be fair. I think he got a 7-year contract. I think he was actually spread quite a while because goalkeepers last until they're ancient. So these players, whilst sound crazy money, Drew, actually have a very long-term benefit, because you probably would do a 7-year contract. You probably would do a long-term contract and go, do you know what? You're locked in. You're with us. We're going to spread this cost over a long period of time. It's not going to affect the value of the club, because even if we're looking to sell, because this £120 million asset is still going to be 120 million, if not more, unless his legs get broken, and then we get insurance money. So it seems like it's a win-win-win.
Yeah, not to mention the commercial aspect of it too. He potentially is the face. Yeah, face of England going forward. We got the Euros in 2 years. He was the standout player for England, in my opinion. Could be in the player of the tournament team. Like, everyone was following him. Everyone was talking about him. That's only just brings, for businesses, $ for FSG, for commercial value of the player. You add that on top of payment plans. It's not like you're buying a no-name player for a lot of money. You're buying future of the team, future face of the team. So there's not a lot downside unless he doesn't live up to the hype or breaks his legs, like you said. But he's proved so far that he has been able to up his levels and meet the expectations and the pressures on his shoulders quite well. It's impressive on all fronts, on the field and off the field. So it should be a fairly simple decision on whether or not you want to buy him.
There's a few people mention Gvardiol in the comments, who plays for Croatia at centre-back, and he was fantastic. But really, one of the players that stood out for me is Konate Arnov. Konate has been playing for a team that's in the final. He's making his way through, and he's been looking like a mountain. And suddenly, if you're talking about the best English player in central midfield, the best French central defender, Darwin Núñez, who's got an unbelievable ceiling if he can put it all together. Suddenly, this aging Liverpool team, Enzo Fernandez, who's going to take over from Messi and run that Argentina team. Maybe it's not him, maybe it's someone else, but there's so much potential at this moment in time available for purchase. Then you've got Trent, best, right back, right wing in the world, right wing, however you want to classify him, in the world. you've got all this potential coming in, and it just takes a little bit of money to just tip it over, doesn't it?
Yeah, 100%. I think we've got that in the court. The spine of the team would be amazing if we can get Jude through the line. It would be great. Like Konate is such he's immense. His performances this World Cup are nothing short of absolutely brilliant. Like Upamecano, I think Deschamps picks him as number one. But when in the games that Konate has played, he's played quite a few as well. He's looked insanely good, and like even after that Australia game, funny enough, I seen him in the coming over to like greet his family. I told him, tell Jurgen to sign Jude, and he was laughing and got a pic with him. But nah, he's quality. I think Konate will be the best centre back in the world. Like he's such a player, nothing gets past him, and if he can just keep to his game and just develop on what he is brilliant at, we could have another rock and a brilliant partnership at the back. For a good few years now, because even Verge is a Rolls Royce himself. So I think, yeah, if we can just get Jude over the line, oh man, it would be really good. And like Nunes going forward, I think he's a brilliant striker. He'll be up there with Haaland as well, scoring the goals. So yeah, I think the future looks bright. It's just a shame that Diaz is out until I think it's mid-March, early April. So yeah, that might be a bit of an issue, but yeah, I mean, if we can get it's just good news if we can get Bellingham over the line. I think that was what it was, just to motivate the players. Just some good news can push them over the edge to get top four and even challenge for the league as well. So,
okay, now we're gonna there's a few names of the World Cup. You know, Kris has come in saying, "Is anyone talking about McAllister?" I know you've brought up McAllister. Adams, no one's talked about Adams. Guardiola's come up, obviously Konate, Bellingham, Enzo. So all these players from the World Cup. And the World Cup, some players come through and actually smash it onto the world's team. Other players turn into Salif Diaws of this world and El Hadj Dioufs. You know, they have a great World Cup and just don't go anywhere. But if you're Liverpool, you can sign 2 players from the World Cup, not including Jude Bellingham. Let's assume that you've got Jude Bellingham, Matty, before you start. Which 2 are you going through from the World Cup? The 2 that you get.
I don't know. I really don't know, because I'd say Cavardo, but I think he's going to go to City because I don't think Liverpool are going to spend that type of money when we need Bellingham. He's going to cost about 100 mil. He's going to be more than Van Dijk. He's world class, but I don't think we need him. I still think Van Dijk's got 5 or 6 years in the tank anyway. So I don't know. I really don't know. If I had money was no object, obviously Mbappe's up there, obviously. But Enzo Fernandez, to be fair, is someone who's really has stood out to me. I haven't watched much of the World Cup. Obviously, you know my views on international footy, but I haven't watched much of it. To be honest with you, there's been quite a lot of good content on the Liverpool channel, to be honest with you. But I have watched all the Argentina games just purely for betting purposes. And I really like Enzo Fernandez. I think he's fantastic, and that's probably the only one. And McAllister, to be honest with you, I've mentioned him before. I'd take him. That's someone else just said it there. And Kudus looked all right, but that McAllister, I didn't think he looked that good at Brighton, but he's been world class. World class.
For you, Drew, 2 players from this World Cup. I know you'd love a Yank in the Liverpool team, wouldn't you?
Depends. I mean, Aronson leads, always a shout. Just the hustle, the work rate. He's got skill. American in me definitely would love to see him at the club. But I'd go for, I think Hylor said it earlier, that, you know, with Diaz out and Jota out, we might need to look for the wing for a little replacement there. And I think an interesting buy would be, I don't know if you guys watched Canada a lot, but I thought Buchanan, he looked quite a player. He's young. I think he's 23 years old. I think you could snag him up for relatively cheap. He'd be an interesting cover option that just to give a try. He really impressed me at the World Cup. Take on your point that some players just have great World Cups and disappear out of nowhere, but equally some players have 1 or 2 good seasons at their club and then just disappear as well. So, you know, it's kind of up in the air for whether or not a player is going to make it once they make a move. But yeah, I'd say Buchanan would be one of mine. I'll go Aronson, but I also was impressed by Onani on Morocco as well. I know we've talked about him in the chat, but thought he alongside Amrabat for Morocco's midfield was quite impressive. So
can't believe a Yanks just asked for a Canadian to sign for Liverpool.
Hey, North America, man, got to come together. Come together.
For you, Arnov, which two have stood out for you?
I think McAllister and Unahi. I think if we beefed up Unahi, because he's only 22, got him in the gym, he looks really good. And even for Angers as well, I was seeing on Twitter a few people saying that he's like fifth for like, I know like the stats are a bit all rubbish, but he's like he's fifth for like ball carries, progressive ball carries and playing it forward. So I think he could be like obviously it's far fetched and it's a bit early, but like he could be like another Thiago. Like if we can make him into that, of course he's not that now, but the way he plays, the way he carries the ball, and the way he's been disciplined throughout the World Cup, I think he'd be a brilliant signing, and he'd only be about like 20 million, 25 million max from Angers, because they only bought him last summer for 350 grand. And also McAllister, I think whilst Fernandez is getting all the praise, I think McAllister's had a brilliant World Cup, and even at Brighton, I think he's been doing decently as well. So I wouldn't be too against him, and I don't think he'd be too expensive either compared to like the price of Fernandez. I think his price has skyrocketed from the World Cup. But yeah, probably Unahi and McAllister, the two that I'd probably pick. With Bellingham as well, that would be a brilliant trio for the next few years. So
now, just to finish the stream, someone's just mentioned, with Diaz being out, maybe this could be an opportunity for a young Liverpool player called Ben Doak coming through the academy. And I thought a great way to close it off, because Matty goes down to the academy every week and he's seen Ben Doak play in all three of the front positions. Is he ready, Matty?
I don't. He does look ready, but I don't want to put him in the first team yet, because he is only just turned 17, might still even be 16. He's very, very, very good. Very, very good. But I just don't want to rush him yet. That's why I want to see depth. Like me and Jay were speaking about it earlier about Bajcetic, and I want to see him in the academy a bit more because he's learning a new role. But Doak is someone who should probably be on the bench. But then if you put him on the bench, you're hampering his minutes with the academy, because the 21s do tend to play like a few hours before Liverpool. So then can he play that and then come on the bench? I know Cole Palmer's done it for City, and he does strike me as the person who would. But I wouldn't put him in the first team just yet, because people. Kris is saying about Jones in the chat there. He got put in the first team, in my opinion, too early, and now everyone hates him. And he's still a very good footballer, but Ben Doak he's special, but he's only 16, 17. I mean, if you're good enough, you're old enough, I suppose, but I'd like to see him, because he got signed to play for the under-18s, played there for like 3 months and was too good. So then he went to the 21s, and I watched his home debut against Everton, and he ran past all 10 outfield players to score. So it's like, is he too good for the 21s? Because he just strikes me as that kind of, when you watch his games in the 21s, it's like men playing with boys. He's fantastic. He really is fantastic. He'll definitely make it at Liverpool. He's definitely got a future at Liverpool, but you don't want to rush someone like that too soon, someone with that much ability. But then he's played for Celtic's first team, and their stadium's very electric as well. So he's not scared of playing for a big club, as we've seen, like he's played for Celtic. So maybe he is ready. But I'd hate him to come in and be unbelievable and then get dropped the minute Diaz is back, because Diaz is the starter there.
It's fair. This has been LFC Transfer Room. If you are new here, please leave a like and subscribe to the video. We are coming back because the transfer window's coming, so get used to seeing our faces on a more regular basis. We'll catch you on the next one. Have a good one.